Hi, I'm Chantal.
I'm Niha.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. How was your ride getting here?
It was kind of long. First, I had like 6 hours of school, so I'm already tired. And then I had to wait 30 minutes for the bus. And then it took me like 15 minutes just to get here because I had to take 2 different buses. I only have my G1, so I can't really like drive anywhere.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, here I am.
So what brings you in here today?
I have relationship problems, but I don't really want to call them problems. They're kind of just like little irritants of mine. And like they're just, I don't know how to explain it, but I feel like if I talk to like a family member or a friend, they're going to think, oh, you're a psychotic girlfriend. What's wrong with you, you know? So I just wanted to talk to someone who would like help me, but not judge me at the same time.
Okay.
You know?
So before we do get into that, I do have to go over the client acknowledgement form. So Durham College Counseling Services is a free voluntary program which provides individuals with one-to-one personal support from a student counselor in training who is currently studying in the social service worker program. If you agree to participate in the service, we commit to do our best and try to assist you in working towards your goals. However, please understand that while most individuals do benefit from our service, there are factors we cannot control. Therefore, we cannot guarantee your circumstances will improve. The length of the involvement in the service is your decision. We will commit to continue working with you as long as you feel is helpful. In addition, your involvement and the information shared with the student counselor in training is confidential. While he or she will protect you with your personal information in all cases, except for the following: a release of information form that has been signed by you following any type of personal information that can be shared with a particular person, agency, or organization. Information or a student counselor in training is legally subpoenaed to the courts. You are suspected of being risk at harm with yourself and another person. Any situation of suspected child abuse, neglect, domestic violence in the presence of a child will be reported to the local child protective service. Report of being sexually abused by a regulated health professional, for example, a psychiatrist or any type of doctor. So any of these will be brought to our attention. Other than that, if you can sign the form if you agree to participate.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So Niha, what about your relationship do you want to talk about?
So, Preston is my boyfriend. We've been together almost 2 years now.
Yeah.
And just like this past month has been kind of rough. Like he seems very, I don't want to say distant because he's still opening up to me and stuff. But at the same time, he seems like he's getting very irritated with me. Or like, maybe like he doesn't listen or something. I don't know how to explain. Like we have little fights all the time, but they're not fights.
Okay.
So it's just like things that make each other angry, and we just keep doing it. It's been kind of like our thing for the last month. And I don't know if it's me, like if I'm doing something wrong, or whether it's just like him. Like I just don't know.
Okay. So what I'm hearing is that you don't really know why you guys are both acting irritable or...
Yeah.
Okay.
So, here, I'll give you an example. So, the other day, we were talking.
Yeah.
And this was my fault completely. Like, I can take the blame. But, so when we first started dating, I guess, I asked him to hang out. And he said, maybe. So then, I was like, okay. And then my friend asked him to hang out. And he said, yeah. On the same day, right? And I got irritated. And I guess I brought that up. And, like... he started to get very defensive, like, times were different back then, like, things weren't the same. I was like, okay, so why would you say maybe and then say yes to a different girl? And so I was getting irritated, and then he was getting irritated, so he brought up my past.
Okay.
And it's just like, we do things like that, like, we always get over it, but it just gets annoying at one point, you know?
Yeah. Is Preston your boyfriend your first real relationship? Have you ever had any other relationship?
I've had relationships, but they weren't real relationships. Like, I was with this guy for 8 months, but we were never actually dating.
Mm-hmm.
We were just kind of like a fling thing. I don't know what you want to call it. And like the other people were not relationships. They were flings for sure.
So with Preston, is this your first big argument or big...
No, we've had like really big fights before.
Uh-huh.
These are just like little things that make me mad.
Okay. Have you ever tried talking about it in person when you guys are both together?
So the thing about that is sometimes we fight and I'll go over after and we'll talk about it, but it always ends up just him and I apologizing, hanging it out, saying it's okay, like I love you, but then it happens all over again.
Okay. So every time that it does happen, do you guys just go back to being, like you said, petty and getting on each other's nerves?
Yeah.
Have you ever asked him why he was getting irritated or why he was getting the way he was?
He always kind of tells me like, oh, I'm not mad at you, it's just things that bother me, which I understand,
okay.
But like, I don't understand why the past still bothers him if we've been together for 2 years. So like, when him and I first started talking, like even before we started dating,
Mm-hmm.
my best friend, his name was Michael.
Mm-hmm.
And Michael was honestly there for me all the time. Like, he was a really good friend. He was also friends with Preston. He was friends with Preston before he was friends with me. And the thing about Michael is he kept my cat for a while before I moved, so I would go to Michael's house while I was dating Preston. And Michael would come over to my house because we were so close. But it's like we never sat beside each other. It's like he would sit on his seat or his chair in front of his computer, and I'd sit on the bed, or like we'd be on opposite ends of the sofa or something. But for some reason, Preston thinks he used to have feelings for me or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I keep telling him, no, he was like my brother. Like, I don't understand. And so I stopped talking to Michael,
Mm-hmm.
which I'm completely okay with.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess like 2 days ago, I saw Michael on the bus and Michael said hi to me. And Preston got upset with me. And I didn't know why. He told me he wasn't mad at me, but he was upset. And I was like, well, he told me he missed his friends. So I assumed he missed Michael too.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, I thought you just said you miss Michael. And he was like, yeah, but not when he's around you. And I didn't know what to say because I was on public transit. It's not like I was sitting on the bus waiting for him to go on every day just to say hi, you know? Because that's kind of like a waste of time.
Yeah.
I just don't know why he gets upset with me. And if I ask, he doesn't know either. It's just little things that bother him that bother me. So like if he's kind of bothered or annoyed, I get bothered and annoyed.
Okay. Do you and Preston have friends, even of a different sex than the opposite? So does Preston get irritated when you're around girls too, or is it just
It's
guys?
just guys.
Do you have other friends that are males?
His best friend is also my best friend.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one of my only male friends, and other than that, like I'll talk to his friends when they're around.
Do you and Preston spend a lot of time together?
I want to say a fair amount, yeah.
Okay. Okay, Niha. So I think we should work towards a goal. In my experience, when I hang out with my friends, that keeps my mind busy and makes me think about all the time that I need for myself.
Well, like that's a good idea, but it's not that I want to spend less time with him.
Mm-hmm.
It's just I think him and I are both stubborn.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? So I think that him and I haven't gotten over the past. Even if in the past we didn't know each other, it's things that bother us. And it's not because, like, oh, I don't want to be with him.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's because I do love him so much that, like, thinking about him with other people or, like, being happy with someone else, like, it just kind of bothers me, you know? Like, what if he thinks, why don't I have this with her? You know what I mean? So, like,
Yes.
why isn't the past
Okay.
in the present? Like, something's missing, and I don't want him to think that.
Okay, so then I think the goal should be sitting down with him and talking about the past and lay it out on the table and sort it out all together, like you and him together in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Just so that it doesn't happen later on, that when you argue, it's not like, oh, but back then, or do you remember when? You want to talk about, like...
Well, it's not that we argue and it's like, oh, yeah, you did this, you did that. It's like, we'll just randomly be like, hey, you remember that time you did this? Or, hey, you remember that time I did this? Like, it's just to get on each other's nerves.
Mm-hmm. So, like I said, I do think the best choice is to talk about it, just in case that you don't want to hurt each other's feelings, and you don't want him to get hurt, and he definitely does not want to see you get hurt. So we can... Do you think that the goal can be that you guys can try and talk about it in person?
Yeah.
And try and talk about the past maybe, and then solving it so it doesn't happen later on?
Yes, I think that's a really good idea.
Okay. So we should put a plan together.
Okay.
So what do you think is the best option?
I think talking to him in person
Okay.
is a really good option. But the last couple days, I've been thinking about keeping a journal too.
Okay, that's a really good idea.
Where I can kind of like express myself without talking to anyone, you know?
Yeah.
Where I can be myself and I won't be judged by anyone. And it's like, even I can write in it even right after I see him if something happens.
Yes.
And I was also thinking about couples counseling, but I didn't know if he would do it with me. Like, I know he'll do anything with me that I ask him, but I don't know if it makes him comfortable or not, because he is like a very shy person, a very genuine person, and he doesn't like expressing himself to other people. He will to me, but he doesn't even express himself to his family.
Okay. Well, as you said, for the journaling, in my experience, journaling is good because, as you said, like, you can talk about your feelings, your thoughts, and your emotion, whatever you're going through. And even after you do argue, you can write down what has been going on and how it resolved or how it ended that day. I also think that you should sit down with him, talk to him. Counseling is a good idea, couples therapy. If he's really up for it, then you should definitely try. But I would think about that after you try talking to him first. And if that doesn't work out, try asking him if he would be willing to take a chance on couples therapy.
Okay.
I would definitely think about taking some time to yourself, only because you need to see maybe something's going on in your family, yourself, school. Maybe there's things triggering you.
I think school has been triggering me a little bit. I've had a lot of work.
Yes.
So, honestly, maybe that is it. I do have a lot of work. Like, it's almost the end of the school year. There's about 3 more weeks left. And it's just projects on projects and assignments. And I think that when I get stressed, I kind of take it out on him. Like, I don't mean to, but he's just kind of my outlet because I talk to him so often.
Okay. Do you have a hobby? Do you do anything outside of school, outside of working or anything?
I don't even work. The only thing I do is watch my brother, and then I go home, and then I finish all my homework, and then I go hang out with Preston when I can.
Okay. Is there anything that you do enjoy doing? Swimming, art, yoga, working out?
I enjoy shopping. And I think I use shopping as therapy.
Okay. Like, do you buy it or do you, like, window shop?
I window shop.
Okay.
So if I'm, like, upset, I kind of go to the mall and I'll be like, I want this, I want that, and I just keep going. And then I feel better because, oh, I got new things.
So that's also a really good idea. I do think maybe going around the mall and just going through clothes, trying things on, buying new outfits is a good idea. But I'll also think about other stuff. Like, maybe there's something that you don't know that you enjoy doing. For example, like swimming.
So I used to play rugby, but I don't have any more time for that because I do, like, after school sometimes I have to go pick up my brother right away.
Yes, okay.
Or, like, after school I have to do a project, or after school I'm going to Preston's house because, like, that's the time I can see him.
So you did mention that you are finished in 3 weeks. So what are your plans after the 3 weeks?
After my 3 weeks, I have, like, a specific amount of time before I have to pick up my brother. I have to pick him up by 2, so it's not like I have much time. I'm probably not even going to wake up till, like, 11. And then I actually have to go get him, which takes me about 30, 45 minutes. so I really don't have.
What about after you pick up your brother?
After I pick him up, we come home, and I have to watch him, and then my mom comes home, and by that time, it's dinner time, and then after dinner, I just want to sit.
So I'm just going to summarize everything that we've been talking about. So to me, it sounds that you're experiencing internal conflicts. Am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. So until our next session, I think you should focus on talking to Preston and seeing if all that works out, talking about the past. And if that doesn't work, in our next session, we can talk about it, reflect on it, and see what we can do from there.
Okay.
So our time is up, but if you do have any questions, you can contact the office. And is that all?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you.